Hi, I hope you're doing well. It is February 22nd, 2024, and NASA and SpaceX, along with a company called Intuitive Machines, are claiming they landed on the moon. So get right to it. Let's look at the footage of them doing it.
All stations, this is Mission Director on IM-1. We're evaluating how we can refine that signal and dial in the pointing for our dishes. What we can confirm, without a doubt, is our equipment is on the surface of the moon, and we are transmitting. So, congratulations, IM team. We'll see how much more we can get from that.
An excellent call from our mission director, Dr. Tim Crane.
IM-1.
And over to our CEO, Steve Altus.
Yeah, if I
Those guys look very excited, and that's it. That's it. They just landed on the moon, and that's what verification we are given. So let's look a little bit of the pats in the back, and then I'm going to look a little bit deeper into analyzing the other details.
I could just pass on a few words to the entire team in Intuitive Machines at Superbab and here in the Mission Control. What an outstanding effort! I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface and we are transmitting. And welcome to the moon.
Houston, Odysseus has found his new home.
An excellent call, and this is our team of Intuitive Machines mechanics and their families, their friends, everyone who has sacrificed so much to make it this far.
It wasn't just the individuals in Nova Control that contributed to the mission. The contributions to enable the success of Nova-C's landing on the moon stretches far and wide. We showed, of course, some of the folks watching there, but really it extends even farther than this. A wonderful and truly amazing moment to celebrate the American leadership and the future of a strong lunar economy. So here's NASA Administrator Bill Nelson.
On the 8th day of a 250,000-mile voyage, a voyage along the Great Cosmic Bridge from the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center to the target of the south pole of the moon, a commercial lander named Odysseus, powered by a company called Intuitive Machines, launched upon a SpaceX rocket carrying a bounty of NASA scientific instruments and bearing the dream of a new adventure in science, innovation, and American leadership in space. Well, all of that aced the landing of a lifetime.
And that, my friends, is propaganda and product placement. Touting all of these companies because they're the contractors getting a portion of the over $400 billion a year that is being stolen from every taxpayer. And that's the truth, because it's a lie. So let's look at some other moon landings, because these guys are just saying they landed on the moon. They're just like, yeah, we did it. Got a signal. We're there. Right? They don't have a camera, right? So let's look back 55 years ago when we had a live feed in 1969. They couldn't do it today, but we could. So let's check this out. Look at that. I mean, 1969. This is amazing. Isn't that amazing that they could record this in 1969, but they couldn't do it today? I'll come back to this, but let's look at some other recent moon landings.
We can see the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us. And He is critically looking at the visuals.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल.
Of course, you got the clapping fans and you got the prime minister for the propaganda. But, I mean, come on. India can land a cartoon, but we can't land a cartoon? Come on. We could do better than that. Let's see what Japan does.
With the slim lander, Japan has made space history, becoming the 5th nation to execute a soft touchdown on the lunar surface. But you can tell from the faces at Mission Control that while they made the landing, they didn't exactly nail it.
I don't know, but those guys look eerily like Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong when they landed. These guys don't look too happy because they look like they might be lying. So let's look at the actual footage of Apollo 11 again and see them landing because, you know, obviously everyone saw that on television. Anybody that's old enough, I was too young myself, but, you know, people saw them actually landing on the moon and touching down. So why couldn't we do that today? Why didn't they have a camera as they're orbiting around the moon several times trying to figure out where to land on the South Pole and all this? Why didn't they have a camera? Just like footage of the moon. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Why didn't they have cameras looking out and looking at the sun and looking at the stars? That seems like it would be a pretty amazing thing to document, but not one camera. No. So it's because it's fake, obviously, but just making light of it.
The journey that had taken the lifetime of mankind was nearing its crucial moment.
Oh, Apollo 11, Houston, we're wondering if you started into the limb yet, over. Okay, Charlie, we're at the limb. The tracking index mark is the same. Roger, we copy. Houston, Apollo 11 Eagle, over.
The lunar module Eagle was again given a thorough checkout to ensure the functioning of all systems, as Armstrong and Aldrin prepared to seal themselves off from Collins in the command module and for the two craft to pull apart.
I mean, look at this. This is 1969. Live feed.
3, 2, 1. Houston out, over.
Japan says they have a satellite a million miles away, taking like a picture every 10 minutes and sending it back.
Okay, retro, go. Fido, go. Guide, go. Control, go. Telcom, go.
Which is also faked.
Ecom, go. Surgeon, go.
Capcom, we're go for undocking.
Obviously, they don't attempt to have a video because they know it's fake. So how can you fake something? Another reason why they don't have footage or actual movies like motion pictures of landing on the moon. They don't want people thinking about it.
Houston, we see you on the steerable, over. Roger, Eagle, undot.
But you're telling me that in anybody that believes that anybody went to the moon, you're telling me that we had this kind of camera
The Eagle has wings.
and this live footage, but we couldn't do that today?
It coasted around to the backside of the moon, and there, while out of direct communication with the Earth,
Look
it
at
fired its
that.
engine to slow its descent to a touchdown on the near side of the moon.
It's totally real.
Collins in Columbia continued in orbit.
All right, let's go to Odysseus. Okay, this is a photograph that's been put all over the world in the last few days. Every news outlet is publishing this photograph, and they are alleging that this is a real photograph taken from this spaceship. But it's impossible. And the reason why it's impossible is because this is Australia, and it's too big. Even if this was a fisheye lens, what's visible on one half of Earth from that distance would still be proportionate. It might be a little morphed somehow, but you would see the other land masses. Let's look at a picture of Australia. And of course, you can't find an actual picture of the globe because it's not real, but you can see how small it is, you know, proportionate to the Earth, of the globe, of what they even lead us to believe. It's, you know, a lot smaller there. Well, it's a lot smaller. I mean, even the CGI pictures that we get are different sizes. But there you go. I mean, it's always a different size, I guess, because they're not real. But let's take this in Photoshop and put the exposure up, because there should be stars back in this field of view. There should be never-ending stars, which really, you know, they say that the exposure gets set so you can't see the stars in the picture, and that's why it's always black. That's why they never show stars in any footage, obviously, because if the stars were there, you know, any person with any background of astronomy, they could calculate where that is and if it's even real. So that's why they can't do it, because they're faking it. But there should be stars in this background, so when you overexpose it, it should bring in that light, right? So let's put the exposure all the way up and look at that. Perfectly black, because this is a CGI image. It's a cartoon, okay? So one more proof that it's a faked photo. And this is the only photo that they put out. Okay, there's actually 2 or 3, but this is the actual Earth, and they are claiming that this is an actual photograph taken from this spaceship. Okay.
This particular coordinate system is called the B-plane.
You can think about the B-plane kind of like the backboard of a basketball goal. And you basically know when you shoot hoops that if you can get the basketball in the square on that backboard, it's going to go in. And the B-plane for astrodynamicists is very much the same thing.
With the B-plane on target, Odysseus is prepped for a critical autonomous maneuver on the moon's far side. This critical burn maneuver is completed in the blind, with the moon blocking direct communications back to Nova Control in Houston.
Once we get around the moon, we have on the day side of the moon, the sun heating us from one side and reflected infrared light off the bright moon warming us on the other. Then we plunge into night, and now we're cold on both sides. It's very tough.
About an hour before landing, flight controllers command descent orbit in
5, 4, 3.
You notice how it adds the effect, the cameraman shakes the camera for some reason. You know, there would be no reason to shake the camera, and it's just for dazzling you. That's what it's for.
2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go IM-1 and the Odysseus lunar lander.
Vehicle pitching downrange.
More burns on our first stage to prepare for landing at landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral. Again, we've completed...
Like the tinfoil. It's kind of odd. And a lampshade and your money shot. Always have the money shot. This is why they do it. You have Earth in the background, spaceship in the forefront. Oh boy, really up high. There's the globe Earth down below. This is what they're selling, is this money shot right here the whole time.
3 seconds, and will help the vehicle to make it to its final targeted drop-off orbit. Then the vehicle will coast for a few minutes prior to... Now, right now, what you're seeing on your screen is an excellent view from the second
What was that? Look at this thing fly away.
It will last about 53 seconds.
Look over here.
And will help the vehicle
Look at this.
to make it to its final targeted drop-off orbit. Then the vehicle will coast for a few minutes prior to spacecraft separation. So we are getting very...
I mean, come on. What is this flying away? It's like it's like a piece of paper flying off. This is going like 17,000 miles an hour. You got these little fragments just like floating off. So funny.
Very close And this is getting very exciting here. Again, we're just about a minute away, just under a minute away from that last burn of this MVAC engine here. Now, right now, what you're seeing on your screen is an excellent view from the second stage, looking at our MVAC engine with operation in just a few minutes from now, just about a little over 5 minutes. Now, it's been a great launch. So,
of course, we got Earth flipping back and forth. Oh, look at this cartoon.
Novasea's primary systems are expected to autonomously power on. This includes guidance, navigation, and control, or GNC for short, automated flight management software, radios, sensors, and thermal control. The GNC system powers on the cold gas helium reaction control system to stabilize the vehicle's attitude, because at this point, the lander...
Okay, this is space.com. Different camera. I don't know how many different cameras they have, but depends on where you go. They must have all these cameras. They never have cameras that can go and look in all directions at the same time and take pictures of the stars in the background, anything like that. They always have this like lampshade for a rocket and just the stupidest angles, but there's just fragments flying off again.
Heard SECO 1 as well as a confirmation of good orbit for our Falcon 9 second stage carrying our IM-1 orbit. For our Falcon 9 second stage carrying our IM-1 formation of good orbit for our Falcon 9 second stage carrying our IM-1 payload.
If this thing's flying 17,000 miles an hour, why are there fragments just floating off in a completely different direction like my mouse marker here? Like what? How is that even possible? Look at this.
For Falcon 9 second stage carrying our IM-1 payload. Now with that landing, that marks SpaceX's 273rd recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9, third recovery of an orbital class.
I mean, look at this. What are these things flying around? It's just a joke.
Rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And with confirmation of good orbit, the mission isn't over yet. Coming up, we do have the second burn of our MVAC engine, or SES-2, on board the second stage around the T plus 41 minute mark, followed by spacecraft separation.
Okay, here's another one. Space.com. Official footage. You got the money shot of Earth here again. Completely different setup here. New camera angle. They have these lights. This is perfectly lit up. I mean, what is lighting this up? Is it the sun? Or do they have like a light shining on this? Like, why is this so lit up perfectly?
Perfect timing. We've got this great live view of the IM-1 lander right before it begins its 8-day journey to the moon. This is such an incredible view and very exciting that we have spacecraft separation coming up here in just a few seconds.
IM-1, Odysseus lunar lander, separation confirmed.
What an incredible sight to see the IM-1 Nova Sea lunar lander drifting away from Falcon 9's second stage, confirming spacecraft separation. From all of us here at SpaceX, we are wishing the IM-1 lander a great flight and safe travels. SpaceX is honored to be a part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services initiative to deliver science and technology to the lunar surface, and we thank NASA and Intuitive Machines for entrusting us with today's historic mission to the moon.
If you're looking on an iPhone, you might want to go on a larger screen. There's something blinking right here, and it's the same trajectory as this toy here, because this is like a model or something. and whatever it is that's holding this thing, or whatever it is, that there's a blinking model here. And if you notice the CGI glitch a second ago. So let's look at this again. I'm going to turn the volume down on this lady and see.
Lander, a great
Okay, look.
And safe
There's a CGI glitch. Look at this thing. Now look at that. You see that glitch?
Lunar Payload Services initiative to travel.
Okay, watch the glitch.
Honored to be a part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services initiative to deliver. SpaceX is honored to be.
See that? Right here. It glitched.
Part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Service. SpaceX is honored to be a part of NASA's Commercial Lunar. SpaceX is honored to be a part of NASA's Commercial Lunar. SpaceX is honored.
And then look at over on the right. There's that blink. Something blinking, and it follows it out. Over to the right, you can see it blinking. Because it's faked. I mean, it's obviously faked. You can't have a globe Earth down below when oceans lay flat. Every scientific observation, experiment, laser test, mirror flash test, flying an airplane with a bubble level and a gyroscope over the ocean for thousands and thousands of miles all prove the oceans lay flat. So that means this is impossible. Look at this. So there you go. It's faked. You can watch this thing all the way out. It's tracking the same speed as this little contraption over here. See, it's still blinking. Look at it.
For those of you following along, you'll know that this
What is
mission marks
that?
our 14th of the year and second just today. Congrats to the
Now,
SpaceX team.
see if there's anything else.
Sensors and thermal control. The GNC system powers on the cold gas helium reaction control system to stabilize the vehicle's attitude, because at this point, the lander does not know where it's pointed, but it can stop any residual spin motion. This is much like a person spinning in a chair with closed eyes can stop spinning without knowing which way they're pointing when they stop. After controlling the spin rate, special cameras known as star trackers autonomously match images of the distant star field and provide Nova-C with its orientation. Software then takes those star tracker measurements and processes them through an algorithm known as the Kalman filter to correct the onboard orientation. The lander now has two critical data points: its attitude relative to the star field and a reference position from the estimated launch vector. With these data points, Nova-C may command its reaction control system to maneuver the lander's top deck solar array toward the sun for illumination, generating maximum power.
Why are we seeing this? Is this, I mean, it's obviously it's showing other animations, but what would be the point of this? And if they're trying to say it's real, obviously who's taking the video, but maybe that was the flashing light that we saw. Maybe there's another spaceship that's tracking this thing. And I love how these guys have their mock-up that they're talking about, some Star Trek set. I'm not familiar with this one. I actually used to watch Star Trek back in the day with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, and I used to be all into Star Trek, and I still do. You know, I know it's a fantasy, and it's fun to watch. I like Star Wars. I know it's a fantasy, and it's just kind of fun to have that. You know, I like. You know, I'm not a big fan of like Lord of the Rings, but I do like the space fantasy. So, but I just know it's fantasy. So, anyways, what these guys do is they incorporate the fantasy, and they even tell you they incorporate the fantasy by making a Star Trek bridge. It's like so funny. And these guys are supposed to be able to collaborate in an outward-facing circle, so they're all facing completely away from each other, and they're saying this is going to be the best way to collaborate. Great idea. Okay, I spoke too soon. I found a cartoon, so I guess America did land the cartoon on the moon. I mean, it says simulation, but at least we got to keep up with, you know, Japan and India lately and at least make a cartoon. So this is the HDA, Hazard Detection and Avoidance. Detect safe landing site from intuitive machines. This is very, very high-tech stuff. Check this out.
Generally,
less than 1 minute remaining to touchdown.
Less than 1 minute remaining for touchdown.
Yes, we're willing to blow down.
And we're tracking here in the broadcast booth. The clock has reached the expected.
May take a minute.
And that's about it. So I'm going to wrap it up. So there it is. Another cartoon landed on the moon today. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. If you believe it, so be it. Just trying to tell the truth here. This is absolute, utter nonsense. And they're stealing our money, and they're lying to our children, brainwashing our children to believe in outright lies and to hide God and to hide Jesus Christ. And this is why I do it. You know, thank you, Jesus, and thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity to share this truth and hopefully reach a few people so that they see that your creation is so much more beautiful, and that we're not actually landing cartoons on a rock, because the moon is not a rock. It's a luminary. It's the lesser light, just as the Bible says in the Genesis account. And the alternative heliocentric model, leading to, from the Big Bang to the heliocentric model to evolution, is the alternative theory that some pretty creepy people made up and tricked the world. And I'm just telling the truth that's not how it is. And all of real scientific observations prove the Genesis account in the Bible. So I encourage you to read the Bible, read the Genesis account, and go do your own observations and demonstrations and get on board, and let's create a better world. No more nonsense. All right, take care. Love you.